start from the top.
Yes. So can you? Does it matter which screen? Can you see them both pretty well? Okay, cool. So this is the questionnaire.
Yep.
So name of the project, would it just be Sacramento Airport?
So it's Borrego Solar.
Okay.
Sacramento Airport.
Let me save as a new one. Borrego. Okay. So it's Borrego Solar.
Sacramento International Airport.
Okay.
And it's 8 megawatts.
8 megawatts. Got it.
So, do you have access to NetSuite?
I don't think so.
Okay, let me go get my laptop.
Okay, that would be fantastic. Awesome. So there's 2 different sites.
Mm-hmm. Which offered a challenge. One of the sites, the east site, is in long-term parking, so they were, which is right there, they had to go through asphalt. They were driving posts through the asphalt. So challenges were making sure they could drive through the asphalt.
Mm-hmm.
So saying east site basically is the most challenging because, we want to make sure they didn't damage piers. So a lot of prep work, a lot of research went into making sure that the asphalt was only 3 inches. And if they hit refusal, making sure we had a backup plan for them.
So what is refusal?
Refusal is if one of those piers that hold up our tracker hits hard ground and won't go to the depth that it's supposed to go to in the ground. So that's basically what refusal is. So it hits a hard patch of ground, it won't go to the depth.
Did you guys ever hit that?
We did.
Okay, so what was kind of the solution?
Solution was to pull the pier out if they could, which they lucky were they could, and then they were able to pre-drill. They drilled down, and they were able to put a slurry mix in and secure that post at the depth that it needed to be. So it was actually relatively fairly easy for that side. It was only like 14 or 15 piers that needed to get pre-drilled. So that was that.
Is there something special about our piers or the design of our tracker that allows us to kind of do something like that?
It's more of the engineering.
More of the engineering
options,
side.
yeah.
Okay.
So we gave them several options. So if they hit refusal, we had it on our plan sets ready to go, and we had a pull test already in our back pockets to see if they needed to do that as well. So we were well prepared. So with careful prep work, basically we were able to carefully or quickly provide the answers they needed in the field.
How did you guys kind of conduct your research?
Some site visits prior to the build, looking at the geotech report, and then talking and meeting with all the installer and with the customer on site.
Very cool.
Very proactive approach to the project.
Can you list any other challenges?
Let's
Maybe
see.
like designing of it? Like it sounds like the 2-site thing was kind of an issue.
A bad design, no. There really wasn't any egregious design errors or changes or anything that had to happen. I think other challenge was basically just training the customer. We had a lot of training out there. We had a customer's EPC, needed a lot of hand-holding. And the customer itself, the site super, Borrego, needed some training as well.
So what did they get trained in? Is it like O&M
Basically,
or?
no, installation practices and how to install the tracker.
Can you estimate how many man hours maybe you guys spent doing those kind of training
We
programs?
had 3 weeks contractually, but with my time, it's probably like 4 weeks. So we had, I spent probably a good week out there just doing some prep work with them. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. And what did those happen in classrooms, out in the field?
Some of the actually, it's kind of funny. There's one of the challenges that came up on the north site was soft soils because of a bird birds. There was like a bird area where they the planes hit the birds, and they actually dump the dead birds into this area, and it creates this kind of like really soft soil.
Oh my gosh.
So we've actually had some challenges of like approaching that with engineering. So it was just this weird dead bird area.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's insane.
It was a new one for me. I was always kind of joking. We're like, really? Dead birds? But it made the soil like mushy because it was just like, it's just carcasses everywhere. So it was kind of gross, but that's where they just kind of made a pile of dead birds because the planes hit these things every day.
That's terrible.
And some crews go out there, they take the dead birds off the runway and they throw them over in this area.
So did you guys have to clear away the birds?
No,
Are you able to just
that's
construct
the airport.
over it?
We were able to work with the engineers to get around that.
Okay.
They had to do some spread footings in some of the areas because...
So what is a spread footing?
Spread footing is an anchored foundation underground.
Okay. So do you guys usually don't have to do that? Is that a normal thing that happens
It's
on every
typical.
site?
Yeah, it happens every once in a while. You gotta do a spread footing. It's not every site, but
Okay. Yeah, my notes are like super cursory. It's just
yeah.
for me or to remember because I'm probably going to transcribe off this. Is that...
But the biggest so the biggest challenge of this job was for Borrego. So at the beginning of the project, we shipped in 2016. Borrego had a problem. They did not submit their environmental impact report to the FAA. And I don't know if this is worth mentioning because it's kind of a negative point for them, but they missed this and it delayed the project for 8 months. So they had to go with the federal government to get approval for the environmental impact report. So it was 8 month delay before they can even start construction.
That's insane.
But I was able to work with the customer and have them receive the material as planned on time. So we delivered in 1st of August on 2016. They didn't start the project till April 2017.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's like a huge oversight.
A huge oversight.
Oh my gosh. That seems like something that would be, I don't know how you missed that.
NRG had to step in and help them out. So they tried and it didn't help. NRG didn't really have any weight at the FAA. So that was very challenging.
So I know Kristen mentioned that she really wanted this case study to be kind of service-oriented. So
Yes.
can you think of some other kind of service-y things that happened around this project?
Sure. We spent a lot of time training them on inventory and training them on our parts before the project started. So one of the things we did was went up there and actually helped receive parts with them. And we opened up crates and showed them what they looked like to the bomb. So it was really in our best interest because we could train the guy and he knows what he's looking at. And we save a lot of headaches of, hey, I'm missing this, I'm missing that. It was really in our best benefit to go up there for a couple of days and just spend some time with them. It really helped us overall to
Is this
do that
something
due
that you
diligence.
guys kind of have to do with a lot of sites, or is Borrego kind of maybe on the newer side
They're
of
on the
solar?
newer side of solar for these big projects. They haven't really done these massive projects. So this is one of the biggest ones, and it was a high-profile project, so I chose to spend some of the time in the front of the project with the site super to train him. I knew it was just going to be in our best interest because I already have other customers too. So if we don't do this prep work, it takes a lot of our time explaining this stuff remotely. So since they're so close,
It's like, why not just head down there?
Exactly. And it paid off in the long run, big time. So the other thing was we worked with them on site. John really helped them with the QC process,
The Qs.
the quality checks, and trained them daily on how to construct the project quickly, but with the highest quality.
Can you give me like an example of something that he's watching for, like
He's
cable
looking
management?
at, yeah, so like dampers. He's looking at damper heights. We're looking at swaging. We're looking at torque marks, which is a big deal. We spend a lot of time just looking at the torque marks, making sure the crew's actually torqued. And then he worked.
Like cruise?
No. CREW.
EW? Cruise?
Cruise. Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure the crews didn't cut corners.
Oh, I thought cruise was like a part. I'm so sorry. Okay, didn't
okay.
cut corners. Okay, great. How big of a team did they have out there installing this
So
project?
they had about a 12-man team. Any other time, pretty much I think that was like the 12-man team.
Okay.
And there was a 12-man team pretty much consistently through the job, which is good.
Okay. So were you guys? How long did it take to build this? You said they started in April. You said?
This was about I think a 3-month build. The completion, June. So we started on my birthday. That's right, I forgot that. 4/17, and they ended construction like end of June.
Okay. Okay, very cool. So throughout the 3-month build, kind of, can you give me an idea of how much time you guys were spending down there throughout? Like, what were kind of check-in points of like, hey, let's make sure things aren't like falling apart down there?
So John was basically contracted to go out there from us. So John was there for, what do we have here in our contract? Let me get the quote. They had purchased a certain amount of time of ours to be on site. They had 5 weeks of our time on site.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Helping train with helping train to install the system and tools and tool repair.
Very cool. Let's see. So the major points are kind of like the pre-work that you were a big part of, right?
Yes, the prep work was like a huge deal. Like, you know, going out there, take a look at the site with the customer, making sure that the asphalt was just thin enough so that they could punch through the top, because they didn't break up the asphalt. They drove the post right through the top of the asphalt. It was a risk, and they could damage the piles if it's too thick.
Yeah.
So they got lucky. You know, we all did our due diligence and researched the project pretty well with the geotech report, of course.
Mm-hmm. And then that spread footing and extra work you guys kind of had to do on the north side.
You know, some engineering prep work was done. Let's just put it this way: let's delete the bird thing and just say, let's delete the top 2 lines.
These two?
Yeah, yeah, the bird thing, and say north site.
Oh, let me make this not red.
Let's delete the soft soils.
Oh,
and just say extra engineering. Engineering was done in advance. Borrego and Arraycon.
And
Arraycon. Arraycon. They're not mentioned in the article.
I don't think so. Is it like array?
Uh huh.
Okay.
And CON. It's
okay,
one
cool.
word.
Oh,